through there itself, right? One second, everyone. Okay, before that, can I actually ask people how last masterclass was? Any feedback for the same? How many of you actually attended the last masterclass? Okay, not many people, is it? I think very few people actually attended the last masterclass. This is my first class. Okay. Any more people as such? How many people attended the last masterclass? What was the review that you had about the last masterclass? So we had two masterclasses, one on YouTube clone building, the other one was on resume building for placement preparation, right? So what kind of reviews do we have? Rajdeep says ma'am was going very fast. Was it? So I think that is something that we can work upon in the next masterclass. What sort of other thing can we work upon? Okay, I see a lot of people having this as their first class. So let it be. So this is the last masterclass as of now. So masterclasses, the basic idea when we came up and when we were going ahead with these masterclasses was that we'll just try to incorporate more and more people to go ahead and try out diverse topics, try out diverse fields when it comes to coding, since coding is a very broad field. So we just wanted people to try out a lot many other things, a lot many other subsections, we could say, in a 3-hour long masterclass. That was the idea. And that is why we started with these masterclasses. And yeah, I think that is it. So apart from that, any other review as such? Okay, I think I can fix my camera though. Thank you for that review as well. Okay. Okay, guys. So I think we'll just begin in some time. So we'll just wait for a couple of minutes and we'll just work on a quick feedback from you guys on these masterclasses, on the pre-course itself, right? And that would be it, right? Great. Thank you. So we can just wait for 2 or 3 minutes and okay, guys, yes. So can we just continue and have a few more reviews about the pre-course or the master classes that have happened so far? before we can actually call upon the guest for today. So I'll just brief you about what is happening today first. What we go ahead with today is that, first of all, we'll be like we've just had a quick discussion about the previous master classes. Now we'll be going ahead and meeting our CTO and our curriculum head, who is Harsh Sharma. He'll be joining us soon. So he'll just be briefing you about how he started with AccioJob, how you can go ahead with something sort of something which is known as tech entrepreneurship, right? So I think that is something that might have been an eager thing to a lot of people who are here today, right? So a quick question in the chat section, guys. Please make sure that you are answering. First thing, how many of you are students right now? How many of you are students? How many of you are working professionals? What are you exactly doing right now? So that we can have a quick idea before we begin with whatever is scheduled for you today. Okay, students, right? Freshers. Okay, a lot of you, I see, a lot of you are students, right? Pursuing master's degree, which means you're still a student. I was working, but not now. Okay, that's perfectly fine. Working professionals again. So I think a lot of us are students here, right? Yes, working professionals are very few in number. So since that is something that is there, so I believe that a lot of you might have had an aspiration that you would go ahead and go for a job, right? Or maybe go for a successful placement. So you guys might not be willing to go ahead and start your own startup or a company right now at this point of time. But what happened is that the person who we'd be meeting now is someone who started his career from IIT Delhi. He was a student, and then these people are four co-founders, graduated, and then they thought of starting their own startup, which is again a very dicey thing. And how they've grown it so far is something that we might get to know pretty much in detail today, right? So Harsh, can you please join us now?
Yeah. Hey guys. I hope I'm audible and the voice is clear and everything.
Yes, you are.
Okay. All right. Great. Welcome guys. Just a quick intro. My name is Harsh. I'm one of the co-founders here at AccioJob. I basically take care of the technical sides of things here. I am also the one who taught the first batch of AccioJob. So pretty much have an idea of the entire curriculum, have delivered it myself, so know it in and out. Before starting up with AccioJob, I actually graduated from IIT Delhi along with all of my other co-founders. Today, I would tell you a little bit about entrepreneurship from my end, what my experience has been, and we'll cover some tidbits which happen to arise when you have a technical background already and how this journey specifically is for you, right? So, yeah, let's get into this right away. Just a quick question, guys. How many of you see yourselves as starting something maybe a couple of years down the line, or 2-3 years from now, or maybe in the next 5 years? If you could just type I or yes in the chat, that would be great. Okay, all right. So yeah, that's great. I see many eyes here in the chat. What I'll do now is I'll share my screen. I'll just quickly write down a few points which I think are critical whenever you're starting up, and would then sort of discuss a few pointers on each of them. Okay. I hope that flow is great. And post that, we will have a 15-20 minute question discussion session as well. So let me just share my screen. Is the screen visible to all of you guys? All right, great. Okay. All right. So writing things down very quickly, I would say important angles are: one is the idea, one is the product, one are the people you start up with, and then once you have got a sufficient traction, you are a little bit ahead in the journey, Maybe something like funding is something people think a lot about. And then obviously scaling things as we grow. Yeah. All right. So very quickly, I would start with the first pointer. You guys can keep your questions with yourselves for now. Very quickly, just quick pointers what I have in mind. Yeah. Okay. So first of all, on the idea side, the way I have seen things work for people and the way things really organize themselves well is if you don't think of an idea in terms of an idea, but a problem that you can actually go about and solve. Taking a big problem statement, like for us, we saw the number of engineering graduates that were coming out of India every year and the number of placements that people were getting. At the same time, we went into the review which employers have about the students that they were hiring. We were able to identify there's a huge gap between what the colleges are teaching the people today and what the students, what the companies are asking the students to be, right? So for us, the problem statement was pretty clear. It has been clear throughout the past 4 years for us. And for us, the problem statement always was, how do we get more people jobs, right? I understand that is a huge problem statement. And even if we are successful, we'll probably just make a dent in it. But keeping a high enough problem statement allows you different avenues and keeps you aligned. So not thinking of it in terms of an idea, but a problem keeps you more focused. So I would, if somebody is even now thinking of starting up, or when you actually are starting up after a few years, just fixing up a problem in your head is going to be super critical for you guys, right? Typically what people do is, and what the generic advice is, it's that you should pick up a problem which you yourselves are facing that makes you your first customer, and you get a unique perspective on whatever you are creating. So that is also something that works amazingly well for people. But even in the case that it is not your problem, you should have quick access to people who are actually facing a problem, so that you are able to get first-hand feedback very quickly on whatever you are doing, and testing things out becomes much more easy for you, right? Could people give me an idea here if they already have a technical background, have built maybe a simple website or even an HTML page, or solved some questions in data structures or algorithms already? If you could tell me if you've done anything like that or not. Guys, a very quick yes or no would suffice if you have already got a technical background, or are you just starting up right now on the technical side as well? Wait just a second. Okay, all right. Okay, so for the people who are thinking of starting up later and have a technical background, or even if they don't have a technical background, when you are starting up, you'll face a lot of different problems that are going to be substantially different from whatever you think your core area is. Every day, you would probably face some sorts of rejections and some sorts of things that you were trying. But having one particular aspect completely covered, like for me, it is the technical side, right? That gives you ample amount of confidence in that particular area. Here, I understand that there are a lot of things that aren't figured out, but but this particular area, the technical side of things, is something that I don't need to worry about at all, because I know that I already have the skill to kill it at that particular section, right? So when you actually are starting up and are taking a huge leap, it is a huge leap in terms of uncertainty. It really becomes important that at least some aspect of the business that you are building is something that you are extremely confident at. It could be sales, it could be marketing, it could be tech, like it is for us. It could be something as small as you doing excellent user calls or something like that, right? But having a strong foundation in any particular area is going to give you an edge, and that side will always be sorted for you then. So since we are trying to become great software engineers, I would suggest spending at least a couple of years in the software engineering field first, making sure you are becoming extremely confident on that end, and then maybe think about starting up in a more broader sense. Is this advice making sense to you guys? Are you able to understand this? Guys, come on. More people typing yes in the chat would be great. Okay. All right. Great. Okay. So this is what I had to say about the problem. Pick up a problem which either you directly face or you have close access to people who face that problem. The problem is sufficiently big for the people that you are targeting. It is not a passing need. There's a phrase going around that you need to build painkillers and not vitamins, right? What that basically means is you need to build products for problems that are huge for the people for which you are solving. Like for us, getting people employed, for our students, it is the single biggest worry that they have right now. I'm sure that must be the case for you as well. Having users main problem solved is obviously going to be super rewarding, not just because of how invested the users will be, but because the outcome will always be amazing, right? Shikha, I think you can take up some questions that are coming here regarding the Pioneer program. You can reply them in the chat, I think. All right. After the problem comes the product. When engineers think about creating a startup, they always start by thinking about what sort of product they will be able to create. They think of themselves as amazing and think that whatever they will be create, the audience would line up to start using that, right? The wisdom or the thing that actually works is slightly different. People suggest you should not work on building a product till a lot later. Your first step, at least for the first few months, should be talking to people, thinking how you can validate your solution first, and then think about building the product. When you are actually building the product as well, you should think about building a minimum viable product, which is solving for just that one thing which you want your users to, which was your original problem statement. Just solve for that one particular thing and build your product as late as possible, right? So that is the advice on the product side. Don't think about it early. When you have validated the idea, ideally when you even have customers lining up, that is the time that you should think about building a product. And obviously your technical expertise would come in handy while building a product. Doing our course would give you enough skills to actually go out and create your own MVP so that you can actually launch something useful in the market. So yeah, if you are able to do the course well and have understood the entire full stack web dev part well, you will be at a sufficiently high skill level to deliver that to the market. One more thing is the co-founders that you build your company with. Co-founders should ideally be your friends, ideally be people you have spent at least 5 years with previously. Don't optimize for finding people who are highly skilled at the co-founder stage, because intent is what really matters in your co-founders. Your ability to work well together for long stretches of time is crucial. Special expertise obviously can be picked up as you go along. All right. So when you are looking for people you can start up with, try to stick to your circle and identify people that you like and people that you have worked with in the past, because it is more of a marathon than a sprint, and it is not so much about the technical expertise in your co-founders as it is about the commitment that they bring to the table. Guys, I hope all of you are at least getting some value out of this. Could you type yes or no in the chat again? Okay. All right. Yeah. Funding is also something you should probably not be thinking about very soon. I would, since you are on a track to be a good engineer, doing your engineering job for the first couple of years, and then even starting up part time along with keeping your job, so that you're at least having one stable line of income while you're figuring things out on the entrepreneurship side, is an excellent idea. You will have a lot of time for at least doing the initial things correct, right? And once you see things working for you, uh, you are able to create sufficient secondary income from the idea, probably, then you can think about quitting your job. But the first thought that people have, which is that I'll just go straight up to funding and see what the scene is, that is mostly not going to work. In very early stages, people like to see some traction or an excellent team, at least, if they're willing to put in a money at such an early stage. But yes, you rather than optimizing for funding, you should optimize for solving the problem first. Try to do your engineering jobs along with working on your idea for at least the first few months. And then when you see things making sense, then you can probably take the leap. That would be my advice on this, at least. Yeah. Okay. I think I have pretty much given an overview of what I had in mind. So Surbhi, Surbhi has asked, how can we find clients? I think you should, right now with the internet and it being so huge in our lives, there are ample ways to do that. People hang out at a lot of different places, right? Maybe you can hit up on some Facebook groups. If you're still in college, then college students are an excellent group of early users. They're people who will be invested because they're your friends. You can give them whatever you create. You can ask them to use. You can get genuine feedback from them. Uh, and probably going after a B2B startup or something which sells directly to businesses is going to be a pain, but you will need to figure out where these people hang out. They could be Reddit groups or Facebook groups or some conferences that are happening in your town, right? Totally depends on the TG you want to go after. Yeah. Yeah, so that's pretty much all the advice I had. If you guys have some questions, then you can keep asking. I will is a short description for me if you can. What is sapling program? Okay, all right. So regarding our programs, I'll just give you a quick overview. So as I think all of you know, we teach programming and full stack web development through our course. There are two courses that happen currently. One is a sapling program and one is a pioneer program. The pioneer program is pay after placement. You need to complete the pre-course. You need to solve all the assignments, watch the lectures, then take a coding test and an interview in order to clear it. In the pay after placement program, you don't need to pay us anything. You only have to pay us after you have landed a job after completing the course. The course itself is pretty rigorous. You will have to give in 6 to 8 hours every day. So it is not a part-time course that you can just sign up for. You will have to commit with us. You will have to watch all the lectures and solve all the assignments that we're giving. Teaching wise, we will start from basics. We will cover everything from arrays, loops to advanced data structures like graphs and trees and dynamic programming. We will pick up HTML, CSS, JavaScript, and go up till modern UI frameworks like React. On the backend side, also, we'll cover framework either on the Spring or on the Node side, so that by the time you graduate from the course, you are a full-fledged full stack web developer and are able to work at top companies. Ashutosh, you will have to, so for working people who already have a job, you will have to put in ample amount of time on the weekends. It becomes harder for working people. We understand that, but we already have got a number of people who continued their jobs while completing the course and have gotten successful outcomes. So it is definitely going to be harder for you, but yeah, it's something that has already been done by people. All right, Shikha, I think we can go through some questions if you have for this.
Yeah, I think Harsh, I would like to ask you a few questions. But before that, I think there are a lot of people who have few questions. So I just wanted to ask, this question is somewhat not related to the workshop, but just a general query. So how do you, how do you keep the curriculum that we prepare for AccioJob more student oriented or more job oriented as well?
Okay, so uh, one of the key things that we have identified throughout this process for changing the curriculum, updating it, is having a high amount of visibility in what the student performance is. We try and capture data to build trends on everything that the students are able to do on platform. After every class, we ask the students to rate the instructor on a variety of different topics, whether the pace was slow, whether it was fast, whether they were able to understand the topics or not. Plus, we see the performance of the students after the lectures in the assignments that we give them. So, if we are able to see a larger chunk of people not able to solve a particular problem, we make sure the instructor takes that problem up in the next session. We are adding more and more sessions on the weekends. We analyze the contest performance as well, so that the learning journey of the student, at that level, we are able to identify the pain as soon as it arises and change that. Talking about the overall curriculum, we have regular weekly calls with our employers. So companies that are hiring from us, our placement teams make sure that whatever the job descriptions they are floating or whatever feedback they are giving on our engineers working with them, we incorporate that into the curriculum. We identify their interview processes thoroughly, and whatever missing gaps we are able to identify in the curriculum, we try to keep this uh, as a virtuous feedback loop and sort of take all the suggestions that come our way. Yeah.
Got it. So I think that pretty much sums it up for me. Okay, so Harsh, I think I have another question. So when people are going ahead while choosing a career, since you were the first person who taught who taught the batches, right? Who
Right.
taught the batch at AccioJob. So what are the mistakes, the common mistakes that people make while going ahead and choosing a career,
Okay.
according to you?
So yeah, at the initial stage, I think people underestimate the value of a technical job, in the sense that they don't really have an idea of the uh, escalation that it has through the years. People try to optimize for a higher salary, maybe 1 lakh here, 1 or 2 lakh here in the early roles, which I don't think is something people should do. They should take up a job which is technical and that comes their way. And the reason behind it is, with experience, we see the salaries rising a lot for people. People who were placed at even 6 LPA or 5 LPA while they were doing the course with us are easily able to switch to a 2x or a 3x higher salary within the span of a year, right? So all of that possibilities are always open. We should not try to wait a lot and try to over optimize on the CTC amount at the initial stages of our career. The entire point is to get a job and get a job fast, learn on the job, and then with time invested there, you will be able to optimize for CTC later, and it will be a much higher delta which you can aim for later. So that is a common mistake I see.
Okay. And Harsh, I think since you've been leading this team for so long now that you know about the mistakes as well, about the mistakes students make, and about the experience people have with going for jobs, going for courses like this, um, how do you actually plan out leading a team like this? I mean, what are the challenges you face, and how do you figure the solution to them?
Okay. So I'm not sure how relevant this would be for people, but the way manage my team is pretty similar in the industry. So after doing the course, wherever you land up, you will probably have a very similar experience. So on the technical side of things, I think that not having a lot of engineers for a particular problem makes sense. You are going to hire people who are brilliant, and you should be able to give them sufficiently complex problem statements so that they enjoy whatever they create and they are able to get the ownership of whatever value they are creating, right? So I like to not micromanage people too much and give them an open space so that they're able to explore different avenues, different ways in which things can be done, and just try to make sure that they are also enjoying their time with us and are learning as much as possible. And this is not just something that I try. I have seen people at top startups try this with their tech teams. This always works out in the long run. For example, even a company like Zerodha, which manages transactions for millions of Indians, only has 30 engineers. All of those 30 engineers are going to be excellent. That is a given. But they are able to do this because they are trusting their engineers and because they are allowing them to be free and express themselves the best they can. So that is a good way.
Okay, I think that was a very relevant point though. So yeah, okay. So Harsh, another question for you is that, okay, there is someone who has asked in the chat section, could you please explain a bit about the modular structure? Because okay, he's been told that if we don't complete that, we will be charged a penalty. Is it so? If you could clear that.
No, so the modular structure, just to give you an overview, is a structure wherein we have divided the curriculum into different phases. Each phase for you lasts a month. At the end of a month, you are supposed to give a test in which you will be asked questions that will be based on things that were taught to you throughout the previous month, right? So this not only creates an urgency on the student side and pushes them more, it also gives them a clarity ki, okay, I have completed this module. That means these are the topics that I understand. And now this is the next module that I'm going to. So I should focus on that now. So this clarity was missing earlier, because of which we shifted to a modular structure. Obviously, there's nothing like a penalty or anything like that. Apart from this, in case you are not able to clear the assessment, you are free to either choose to go to a different track or repeat the same module again. So that is a choice which you obviously have. We would obviously recommend you a particular direction based on how we see student performance changing and which path leads to better outcome for most students. But ultimately, obviously, it is your call. And obviously, there is no penalty or no extra fee or anything of that sort, right? The entire idea is you should be able, at the end of the month, you should be able to realize whether the previous month you were able to understand the topics or not, right? You have got a year to complete 6 modules, for example, right? So the time is sufficient. Even if you fail a module or even a couple of modules, that is completely fine, because you have the access to the course for a longer duration. And it is obviously better to do something again if you are not 100% at that. And the modular structure just allows our students to do that.
Okay. I think I got this. I got a hang of this. So, continuing with this, I think there is another question. And Surbhi is asking, is it possible to get into Google after this course? Because she has a career gap. So, is a career gap really relevant when it comes to going ahead with the curriculum, performing well, and still having a career gap?
I don't think a career gap is super relevant. Okay, so let's keep Google on one side for now. Then though I have seen ample amount of startups hiring people above their 30s, have no technical background till now as well. So that has all been achieved by people in the course already. So you don't need to bother too much on the career gap end. Talking about whether it is possible to land Google after clearing this course, I would say it's definitely possible. A lot of our students have been to companies like Amazon. A few of our students, so none of our student is currently in Google, but that is just a gap we are going to fill probably in the next couple of months. So it's definitely possible. There are students who have cleared 6 to 7 rounds in Google as well in the past. So yeah, this is just something that is just waiting to happen and will be done.
Okay, so I think you've got something on your plate, and we are looking forward to that happening pretty soon as well.
Right.
So Harsh, another question is, since you're discussing about the future, could you also discuss about the plan ahead related to the curriculum, related to the tech aspect?
Okay, for us, back because right now we have a high visibility in what the students are doing on the platform. Our approach is going to be super data backed from now on, because we are seeing millions and millions of rows in our databases containing information around how student performance is changing. Building a more smart solution becomes relevant for us now because we have got sufficient information to generate insights from. Uh, Making the course more personalized, adding nudges to people, identifying their weak areas by measuring their performance. Uh, that is what we have on our plate for the next few months, and that is where we'll try to spend all our energy in, and doing well by the students. Yeah.
Got it. And also, Harsh, so another question is that there is a lot of focus I've seen on projects, right? On live projects throughout the course as well. Since you designed the curriculum, so you know better. So what are the projects that people work upon throughout the course?
Okay. So every once you are on the web dev side of things, we try to give you a lot of projects. We cover a lot of projects in the class as well. Uh, like I said, we regularly get in touch with the companies that we are sending our students to. Throughout those analysis on the front end side of things, especially, we were able to identify the need for a single big project. Uh, Whichever of our students had a very good, big, elaborate project on the front end side, were able to find it relatively more easy to crack companies. So this is a trend we had been seeing for quite a while now. Acting on this, for example, in our placement readiness module on the front end side, we actually did something about this and designed the curriculum in such a way that the students have got a 20-day buffer with them, in which they're assigned a mentor. So roughly 10 to 15 students have a mentor with them. A mentor is a person who is an excellent front-end developer already. And every day for 2 or 3 hours, the mentor sits with the students and does a code along session in which the students also code the project, and the mentor is also creating the same project for them and helping them with their doubts. Doing this, we saw that after 20 days, our students had built much more complicated projects on their resumes. And obviously, this is something that the employers would see and would help our students be differentiated from the rest of the crowd as well. So these mentor-led projects have been a big thing that we have done and that we are going to see the outcomes for. Apart from this, on the project side, I would suggest not creating projects which are very popular now. For example, creating a Twitter clone might have been a good idea some time ago, but now if you are creating something when you already are an expert, while you're learning, all of these projects are fine because they're made so that you become excellent at all of the generic stuff. But once you're creating something for your resume and where you want to showcase your skill, uh, going a little unorthodox there makes sense. Maybe pick up something which either has a personal significance for you, which is something that you yourself are going to be a user of, you or somebody in your family or maybe your friend or someone, or something which is not pretty orthodox and not very common. Uh, yeah, that would be my advice on creating projects. Yes.
Okay, got it. So I think our students are keeping note of whatever points you're referring to or whatever points you're making here right now. So I think that would be really valuable for the students who have joined the session. And yeah, okay, Harsh, one final question for you would be, since there are a lot of people here who are just beginners, freshers, students, so how do they go about coding? How do they start with coding? As
Uh,
in, they can go ahead with the program, but then how do they actually begin? Is how much time would be required? Any additional sources required as such?
uh, so I would suggest just not spending too much time watching videos, which is something that people think is going to change a lot for them. And rather than doing that, get their hands dirty and focus more on the problem solving part. I think tackling problems head on, spending that couple of hours on a simple problem just because you were not able to crack it, giving it sufficient time that so that you are able to crack it on your own is tremendously important. Video lectures give you an overview, give you an idea, but unless you yourself sit back and solve those questions, it is going to be difficult for you to understand it completely. So problem solving should be the focus. And in problem solving as well, try to avoid going after heads. Try to avoid looking at solutions, approaches, and then coding things out. Try to build the logic in your own head. I do understand that in the initial stages it would be difficult, but I think if you are well versed till high school maths, then that is enough mathematics or enough logic building generics for you to know before you should actually just jump into it right away, right? So rather than focusing on YouTube videos or watching our sessions multiple times, watching it once is fine. Focus on the problem solving part. Solve all the assignments that we are giving you. That would be more important.
So I think I've got a very clear idea, and I hope students who joined so far have also got an idea about the same. If I could still ask one more question, I think the last question would be that I think people are asking about Mang. So Mang is something that is really popular among students and whoever is coming to the course as such. So I mean, are there any particular requirements going by the Mang companies?
I don't see any particular requirements directly. Obviously, having a strong foundation in data structures and algorithms is important. And to go with that, you should have at least a couple of good technical projects in your resume. Getting a referral to these companies is not a problem if your performance in the course is great, right? But yes, you just need to be good at data structures and algorithms, and you should have great projects. And there is no shortcut to that. You will have to sort of buckle up and spend 6 to 7 hours every day at least solving problems on your own, rather than looking up solutions, copy pasting, or stuff like that. You should, and you will have to uh, come up with solutions on your own, because that is what is going to be required of you in the interview processes of any of these companies, right? So yeah, that is just general advice, nothing special about Mangan or anything like that.
Got it. So I think we sum up this session with that. And thank you so much, Harsh. Thank you so much for your pieces of advice. And I think we can go a long way with these pieces of advice as well. So guys, is it enough? Is it what would you like to say? How would you review that? How would you incorporate that? I mean, we could have quick feedbacks from you guys as well. Right. And I think that sums it up for us. So thank you, Harsh, for joining in. And I'll just make few announcements and then maybe we can wrap it up. Thank you so much.
Yeah. Okay. All right. Thank you, guys. All the best for your course. Yeah.
Okay. I think for people asking the difference between upfront and pay after placement, guys. So what happens is that there's no difference as such. The curriculum, the session, the batch remains the same. The only difference that you have is between the payment methods. So that is something that happens when you're going for pay after placement. You pay later, but then you have to pay a little higher amount. But when you're going for upfront payment or no cost EMI payment, whatever suits you, you pay a little lesser amount. So that is something that happens when you're going ahead with the same, right? And okay, another question someone was asking is that okay, any other programs in which we don't have to pay any amount of money? Okay, so we have only one program, which is full stack web development, and in this we have two I should say courses. One is sapling, one is pioneer, to keep it very simple. So pioneer is something that you enter into after clearing a selection process, and this selection process has a coding test and a technical interview. So that's it, right? And it is pay after placement, and you can go for it through upfront payment or no cost EMIs as well, whatever suits you. However, once, so what we found out when we were going ahead with this course through pay after placement was that a lot of people were unable to clear the selection process. A lot of people found the selection process pretty difficult. So in order to make it more beginner friendly, in order to help people clear their basics first, we started with the sapling program. So sapling program is very new. So for everyone who's coming in now, what we are doing is that we are introducing this beginner friendly program wherein they can go ahead, work on their basics first, and once they build their base, it's only then they go ahead and work on the pioneer main advanced curriculum. So they work on their basics first, the logic building, the quantitative aptitude, and stuff which is almost required in competitive exams, right? I think a lot of you know that these stuffs are required in competitive exams. So these are the things we work upon first. We build the base, we start establishing the foundation, and then that we work upon actually going ahead with the advanced sort of pioneer program. So that's something, right? And okay, uh, okay, the camera is shaking. Can I just mute for a second? I'll just try fixing this. Okay. Okay, so I think this should be better now, but again, I'm not sure. So, okay. I think the people have been really supported. I think there is no other question as such which is left unanswered. So I'll just end the session here. Thank you so much, everyone. And yeah, thank you for joining in today. Hope you found the session interesting, right? Okay, is there any limitations for the number of interviews we can give in pay after placement? In ISA, it is mentioned that at most 3. So Hemant, what happens is that there is no limitation. In ISA also, there is no limitation as such. You can give as many interviews as you want, but you cannot skip at least 3 companies. So that is something that always happens. So what happens is that students do not usually go for the first few companies, do not usually go for the first few companies, and then they go ahead and go for the companies of their choices, right? So in order to prepare you better from the very beginning, we actually encourage that you go ahead and start with the companies that are coming in, and you can go ahead and go for companies offering higher CTC as well, but make sure that you're not skipping a lot of companies. So that is something that happens. Okay, so do we have to go through the same selection process as pioneer after 2 months in sapling? No, you do not have to go through the selection process because you're already prepared with that. So that is something, because in pioneer we make sure that you're clearing the selection process, you already have a base. But in sapling, if you're already working upon the base, then you don't even have to work upon it, right? So you don't have to clear the selection process. What are the steps to get enrolled in pay after placement? It's a selection test. I've already mentioned it's coding test followed by a technical interview. And since we wanted to clear that hurdle for the students, since we wanted to make it more beginner friendly, we went ahead and introduced the sapling program. So that's it, right? So in case you're someone who's just a beginner, who doesn't know much about tech, what we have thought of, what we have come up is the sapling program. And I think in order to know more about the programs, I'm just sharing a link wherein you can book your one-on-one session with our counseling team, and they'll help you further regarding the same, right? Okay, so one second, guys. I just shared this link with you, and the counseling team would be able to help you much better. Okay. Guys, you can click on this link, book your one-on-one session. It's a free session. So I think all of us who are here can go ahead with the same, right? Can go ahead and book the same. So you make sure that you're going ahead, booking your one-on-one session, and that will give you much better idea about everything that that is there in our course. So our counseling team would make sure that you know about the scholarships that are there for you and what you can expect from the course, what sort of placements you can expect as well. On that note, I think I can just end the session here itself, right? So hopefully it has been a valuable session for you guys, and best of luck. I'm sharing the link again. Got it. So I'll just end the session here, guys. Best of luck and have a great day. Thank you.